أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق وأعز المرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد، اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين، سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء. Dear mu'mineen and mu'minat, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Congratulations on the birthday anniversary of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi afdal salawat wa tahiyyat in the middle of the holy month of Ramadan. The full moon of the holy month of Ramadan is a reminder of the first grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, as-Sibt al-Akbar, who brought so much happiness and pleasure to the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And as we know, the happiness of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is not for worldly things. He is never happy and pleased for any worldly gains if it's not connected to the hereafter and to the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Clearly, he knows, and he's the teacher of the concept that he teaches from the Holy Quran. He is the teacher of the Holy Quran, and he teaches many lessons. One of them is that one should not be overly excited about worldly things. لكي لا تفرحوا بما آتاكم لكي لا تأسوا على ما فاتكم ولا تفرحوا بما آتاكم. Don't be upset about something that you miss out on this world, or don't be overly excited about something that you gain in this world, unless it is something that is beneficial for the sake of akhirah. If one has the opportunity to serve God and do good in this world, that is when it is beneficial. Otherwise, it is not significant that we gain whatever we may gain in this world, again, if it's not beneficial for our akhirah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was pleased and happy to have the first grandson because he knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives certain knowledge to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Does not mean that he has all the knowledge of the unseen. Ilmul Ghaib belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but clearly in the Quran he gives what from it to those whom he wishes. And part of what he had given to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is that this son, this grandson of his, would be one of the leaders in Islam, would be one of the leaders to paradise. This is why he referred to him and his brother Imam Hussein alayhi salam as the Sayyida Shababi Ahlil Jannah, the masters of youth in paradise. And this being a master in paradise refers to their ability to invite people to paradise in this world. The statuses that we gain in Akhirah are a reflection of what we have done here. So when he says, my daughter Fatima is Sayyidat Nisa Ahlil Jannah, she is the first lady in paradise, she is Sayyida in Jannah, he is not referring to her only gaining that status there and not having done anything here. In fact, that means this is what she is here. She is Sayyidat Nisa al-Alameen min al-awwaleen wal-akhirin, and therefore she becomes Sayyidat Nisa Ahlil Jannah. And Sayyida Shababi Ahlil Jannah is because they were able to be those masters and leaders to paradise in this world that led them to have that title. Oftentimes when we speak about them, it is in fact unique when it comes to those two Imams of Ahlul Bayt, how similar they are. in the sense that you could simply exchange the names and the stories are matching. The actions are matching, the reactions are matching. And beyond that, even within the name of Imam Hussein alayhi salam is derived from the name of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. Hasan is the beauty and Hussein is the little beauty, the smaller beauty. Not that he is smaller in the sense of the beauty in itself, the sense that he is the younger brother of the beauty of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. They were in fact the leaders and the teachers in this world after the Muslim Ummah. They were the scent of, after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his departure in the Muslim Ummah, they were the scent of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the Ummah. They in fact spread the real teachings and the words and the real akhlaq of Rasulullah. Most significantly, the real akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is why in so many books of the khasa'is, when people wrote about the companions or those who were after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when it comes to those characters, they have to write in length. You know, they have to write stories and narrations and virtues and characteristics from the birth and miracles about their birth or young age to all the way until their departure and martyrdom and departing this world, honorable in every sense. In fact, the title that is often given to Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam is Kareem Ahl al-Bayt. And Kareem, some may think of it as the generous, which is correct. Kareem, one of the meanings of karam is to be generous. But actually the term comes from something above and beyond generosity in its physical sense. It comes from, I guess the best term I could use is nobility, to be noble. Kareem is honorable, noble. And therefore it translates itself when one needs to be generous with generosity. It translates itself when one needs to be forgiving with forgiveness. It translates itself, the same thing, Kareem, Karam. The karam that they have translates itself when one needs to be forbearing and patient with forbearance and patience. And this is why we read in the life of Imam Hasan alayhi salam so many examples of his patience, of his forbearance, of his amicability, of his generosity, of his kindness, of his forgiveness, of his love. So much love him and his brother salawatullah wa salamu alayhima displayed and expressed and spread in this world that make them in fact the best scent of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam after his departure in the Muslim Ummah. Surely he is the number one role model, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and surely they were the seeds from that tree. They were literally the seeds, not that in the biological sense, because that is not Ahl. The son of Nuh was not from his Ahl. His son, he says, "Oh my Lord, innabni min ahli." And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, "No, innahu laysa min ahlik." He's not from your Ahl. Ahlul Bayt has nothing to do with the biological relationship or the blood relationship that they have. That may have some sort of an effect because they inherit certain characteristics. But if they don't nurture those characteristics within themselves and express them and display them, then they are not Ahl. Ahl, in fact, often in Arabic is used not just as a family. And this is the beauty of the Arabic language that cannot compare to any other language. In fact, Ahl is not just a family. When we say Ahlul Bayt, they're worthy of that household. Ahl is to be worthy of something. And when we read in dua, for example, about Allah, when we speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant us what ma anta ahluh, wa la taf'al bi ma ana ahluh. It's not about the family here, yeah? It is saying, grant me what you are worthy of, not what I'm worthy of. You are the generous, I'm a stingy. You are the kind, forgiving, loving. I have so many errors that I have to work on and improve. So this is he's Ahl, worthy of. Ahlul Bayt, they are worthy of that title, the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is why they are named Ahlul Bayt. And it's not by relationship. There were individuals from the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, amongst his uncles, cousins, and some of his descendants even, who were not Ahlul Bayt. They were far from Ahlul Bayt. They were even referred to as Kadhab in one instance. Another one is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curses them in the Holy Quran, condemns their actions and says that their end is in hellfire. And again, they are relatives. It's not about the blood relationship. It is about their characteristics. Whether they were married to the Prophet, or children of the Prophet, or the cousin of the Prophet, or uncle, whatever relationship, or met with the Prophet and were companions of the Prophet, if their virtues are not in line with the virtues of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're not worthy of that title. They're not Ahl of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, they're not considered Ahlul Bayt. When we speak of the Ahlul Bayt, Imam Hasan alayhi salam specifically, as we are celebrating him in the holy month of Ramadan, as he was born in the middle of the month of Ramadan, when we speak of him, we speak of an individual who was a replica of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the hadith, we are told whenever the Prophet looked at him, he praised him for many things, and then included the fact that he resembles Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ashbahun nas bi Rasulillah. During his life, he was the most resembling. You may think of Ali al-Akbar, the son of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who was also referred to as Ashbahun nas bi Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nonetheless, in the life of Imam Hasan alayhi salam and during the life of Rasulullah, Imam Hasan was known to be Ashbahun nas bi Rasulillah, not just in terms of how he looked. You know, sometimes you look like somebody, but in terms of action, far from that. He resembled Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam again with his looks, with his actions, and with his words, with his khuluq and his mantiq. In every sense, he resembled Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many examples in the life of Imam Hasan alayhi salam that again remind us of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. People would forget how the Prophet was, especially because of the incidents after the demise of the Prophet, and the family, including Imam Hasan and later on Imam Hussein, and after him Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. Historians, whether they were amongst the lovers and followers of Ahlul Bayt or not, they all spoke of this lineage and this family, and how they were always reminded of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam through these characters, through these individuals who were again resembling the Prophet in every sense. When it comes to Imam Hasan alayhi salam, there are many again examples. I want to share a few of them and bless our gatherings with those few examples. One of them, very distinct characteristics of Imam Hasan alayhi salam, was his hilm. Al-hilm al-hasani. In the dua or ziyarah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us hilm like Imam Hasan alayhi salam. Now, just bear in mind, whenever we speak of their attributes, it doesn't mean that the rest of the Imams were not halim, or the Prophet was not halim. He was the most halim, in fact. He had the most hilm more than any of them. And they learned from his hilm. So every one of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt had hilm. However, Imam Hasan alayhi salam had the opportunity to display hilm. He had basically the most opportunity to display that hilm, and I'll come to the meaning of this term and how he implemented it. Perhaps lessons for us to implement in our life. Al-hilm al-hasani was displayed. Again, hilm is perhaps translated as forbearance. I don't know if there's another term that's better than that. Nonetheless, to explain it, hilm is when one is able to respond to rudeness with kindness. This is hilm. Hilm is the ability to not react on impulses, the ability to not get angry and start saying things immediately, which is normally insan unless we purify, because insan is by nature, innal insana lafi khusr. Insan by nature is in loss. So insan who does not purify, insan who does not ascend above certain animal characteristics that we have within us, we would be very, very quick. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in fact describes us in the Holy Quran, says ajal. You know, insan has ajal in them. They're rush in reaction. They want to immediately do something, immediately punish somebody, immediately retaliate, immediately say something. The least, if they cannot do anything, the least is they want to immediately say something. A Halim does not do that. A Halim instead measures and thinks and remeasures and rethinks and remeasures and rethinks until he knows that what he is saying is in line with aql and with a qalb that is closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not based on the animal characteristics and being defensive because of the ego, the I, and how dare they say this to me, how dare he does this to me, and so on. A Halim measures and remeasures and thinks and rethinks and says only what is beautiful. This is hilm. Again, to translate it in one term and say forbearing, it is not necessarily, it's not going to give it the real meaning and the impact of the term. The Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, he displayed it again like his grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We go to the examples of the life of Rasulullah, many of them. Now, decades have passed, the Prophet is gone, and the Ummah needs a reminder of the hilm of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, so they find that reminder. When the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was faced with enemies, and they harmed him so much, in fact caused so much harm that they caused the death of his uncle Abu Talib in the siege, his wife, the beloved Khadija salamullah alayha, in the siege, Shahb Abi Talib. Afterwards, wars and killing his other uncle Hamza, Sayyid al-Shuhada Ridwanullah ta'ala alayh, again in the battles against the Prophet, Battle of Uhud. They did all that. When he enters Medina, and it is an opportunity now, I mean, he enters Mecca, and it's his opportunity now to take revenge of all these people. Anyone who did anything wrong by him, he could have taken advantage of that situation. Instead, he says, today is the day of mercy. Today, all sanctities will be respected. Al-yawm tusanu al-huram. Today is a day of mercy. Now we come fast forward, Imam Hasan alayhi salam. There are two camps. Muawiyah la'natullah alayhi caused so much chaos in the Muslim Ummah. Prepared an army against Imam Ali alayhi salam when the Ummah came and gave bay'ah to the Imam, despite his imamah from, in fact, the successorship of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but now they gave him bay'ah as the Khalifa of the Muslimin. Muawiyah refuses and prepares an army and wants to fight against Imam Ali alayhi salam. A fight goes on. Thousands and thousands of people died. 70,000 according to some records in Battle of Siffin that took several months. In fact, it's not like a day and or 2 days. It went on for a long time, distracted the Muslim Ummah from in fact spreading love and peace and goodness to the world. Instead now distracted within themselves, having to fight because of this, again, lineage from ash-shajarat al-mal'unata fil Quran that is mentioned. He caused all that. Now the people in Sham are not aware of the truth and the reality of the household of the Prophet, Imam Ali alayhi salam and his pure state, his children being the masters of youth in paradise. None of that the people of Sham were hearing. They were only hearing the story from Muawiyah, who in fact ordered the khutaba after the martyrdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam, he ordered anyone who gets up on the minbar and speaks to curse Imam Ali alayhi salam. And it went on for 70 years according to historians. 70 years they were cursing Imam Ali alayhi salam by the order of this cursed Muawiyah from the lineage, the one who eats the liver of Hamza or bites into the liver of Hamza, Hind, that's her son. Now this is not my discussion. I want to draw the picture for you. A man who was perhaps raised and in the camp of Sham, unaware of the truth of Ahlul Bayt, doesn't know much about them. All he knows is what he hears from Muawiyah. And now he has the opportunity, there's a peace treaty between Imam Hasan alayhi salam and the cursed Muawiyah, and the Imam salawatullah wa salamu alayhi moves from Kufa back to Medina, settles. And this man has an opportunity to come from Sham and visit Medina. His goal was to go and meet with Imam Hasan alayhi salam, or the son of Ali, according to him, because they fought in Siffin and they think it's all because of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Again, the media and propaganda, as we know of it today. So all of that in his mind, all he has in his mind is to come and put a brave act. According to him, he was being brave to stand in Medina, the city that people love the Prophet and his family, and speak ill and curse the grandchildren of Rasulullah because of the lineage of Ali alayhi salam. So he does that. He asks, they tell him this is where he normally is. He goes and finds Imam Hasan alayhi salam. When it's confirmed that this is Imam Hasan, he comes forward and he starts cursing him and his father Imam Ali alayhi salam, who was already martyred. Now in this situation, most people, in fact I would say all people except a very few, again Quran says إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَقَلِيلٌ مَّا هُمْ, they're very few. Except the very few, everybody would get so defensive and gets offended that he is speaking ill of my father who passed away. How dare he? And the least is give him a piece of your mind, the least. Now what would happen in those days is different. And what explains that is the reaction of the companions of Imam Hasan alayhi salam. Those who were with him, they said, Yabna Rasulullah, allow us to stop him. Now stopping him is what? It's not with words, obviously. The sword and whatever else. Allow us to basically shut him up, if you want. The Imam says, leave him. Let him say what he has. And when he was done, the Imam says, it's obvious that you are a stranger, you're not from here. In other words, you don't know us. It's obvious that you are a traveler. Perhaps you're tired. We have a place, God has blessed us with a place big enough for you to come and be our guest and rest with us. Perhaps you're hungry, and God has blessed us with abundance. Come and eat with us. Perhaps you're stranded. Whatever you need, you'll find us there for you. When he heard that, he realized his mistake. Imagine going, and this is what used to happen with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how Islam spread. Because people seeing his charisma, his character, and the love that he has, the mercy that he has, the extreme akhlaq that he has, the beautiful akhlaq and mannerism that he has, they would switch immediately. They would come to in fact curse him or to give him a piece of their mind. As soon as they see his character, they change and they want to love him. They express their love and they express their allegiance to him. And this is what this man did. When he was faced with that, he thought he was like suicidal, coming to the Imam in Medina, cursing him. He thought, now they're going to do something to me, but I spoke my mind, brave act. After he was done, he says, before this, you and your father were the most detested people to me. Now you and your father are the most beloved people to me. And he started exposing Muawiyah because of his agenda and his propaganda. This is the shift that happens because of hilm. This is the honorable character of Imam Hasan alayhi salam, displayed in many other areas, including generosity. Inshallah, if we have an opportunity tonight, after iftar, before Quran, I might share some examples of the generosity of Imam Hasan al-Mujtaba alayhi afdal as-salawati wa tahiyyat. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the opportunity to be amongst the sincere lovers and followers of the Prophet and his family, and grant us the intercession of the Prophet and his family in the hereafter. We ask him to make us amongst those who listen to what's said and follow what's best. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.